Oh, look who forgot to film an intro. So, if you didn't know, we have a Patreon, and this video was available on Patreon way before it was available here. So if you'd like to see extra content, articles, rugs from my vault that have not been published anywhere else, other exclusive videos exclusively on Patreon, head on over and see what we got on offer. Anyway, let's get into this. So what is this video about? In the pricing script, I started writing a section called "Are Rugs a Good Investment?" As I was writing this section, I couldn't figure out how to make it gel with the rest of the video. So I thought that I would just sit down and make sort of this pre-release addendum video that would go over this question as to whether or not Oriental rugs or antique rugs are a good investment. And right off the bat, I will reference a really good short article by Stephen Price from the now somewhat defunct website Turkotek, and he wrote a small blurb with this very question: are Oriental rugs good investments? And I think you should read that, so I will link that in the description below. But I'm just going to give my thoughts also, because his article and my personal opinion do sort of align. I just have a little bit more to say about it, although I think his is probably more concise and is therefore kind of the better format to say something like this in. So, are Oriental rugs good investments? The first question is, are Oriental rugs good capital appreciation investments? And if that's your question, my answer is no. So why do I think that? Let me caveat that a little bit just by saying that I don't think rugs in particular are better than any other alternative asset that somebody might do this with. They're a little bit different and they all range. So for example, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but I can see people doing this with trading cards, for example. Trading cards are something that recently is on everybody's mind. The market for especially old trading cards, and what comes to my mind is sort of Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, have surged in popularity in recent years, which has made their prices go way up. The question is, for an asset like that, will it always be that way? How long will this last? Because it has lasted a few years so far, but into the foreseeable future, can we say that will be the case? So it's not a one-to-one comparison, but to me, an asset like that is very similar to something like rugs. So let's take that into consideration and let's think of an example. So say you go buy a rug, probably retail, so you're paying a decent chunk of money for it, but you're buying it in the hopes that it will become an appreciating asset. So you buy it, you throw mothballs in it, wrap it in Tyvek, and put it in storage for 50 years. And then 50 years goes by, you take it out, and what are you hoping? Well, you're hoping that that asset has appreciated. Your issues become twofold. The first is that you have to hope that the rug or rugs that you bought hold up to fashion. Because rugs, for better or worse, hold the weight of fashion on them. And what people like is not static. Sort of like trading cards, if you're looking to sell to somebody a special rug, that person is most likely going to be a collector. And what collectors want is not static. It changes just as much as the broader fashion industry. And so you have to hope that whatever you bought is going to hold up to what people want. That's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is trying to actually sell the thing. So that's like going to be through a private sale, or you're going to have to do it through an auction house who is going to take their cut, or you have to sell it through a dealer who's going to take their cut. It's a tough spot. This is very abbreviated, but I don't think that rugs as a capital appreciating asset are good investments. However, I do think rugs are a good investment for lifestyle. And what I mean by that is I view rugs as they are utilitarian, but they are art. They serve two purposes. They can be used in the house, like on the floor if that's what you're buying, but they can also be put on walls. They can be appreciated as works of art. And so in the sort of buy it for life camp, I can view rugs as something similar to a good Red Wing shoe or a really good mattress or something like that. I'm reminded of a story that my friend Ben from Landry and Arcari told me one time. It speaks to this.
Where we find a lot of these rugs, if we're finding them in the wild, meaning like not specifically from another dealer, like if we're on a house call and we're finding them, these are coming from people these rugs have been in their families for generations, and they've been passed down and passed down and passed down. And I interact with these kind of rugs a lot, not necessarily for buying, but sometimes I'm looking at them and appraising them, or sometimes like people want to have them repaired. This type of person really values like repurposing, reusing, getting the most out of something. So as long as a rug is usable, yeah, it might be threadbare, but they're going to use it until they're ready to kill it. Actually, do you want to hear something? Do you want to hear a little anecdote about that?
Yeah, of course.
I helped a customer recently. She was describing a rug that she had, and she said, "Oh yeah, it's really gorgeous. It has like these marigold colors and like really jeweled like blues." And I was like, "Oh, you probably have an old Ushak." So she showed me a picture, and it was like a really nice one. I mean, it was tattered at one end. And I said, "We should really fix that for you." And then she went on. I was looking at one piece of the rug on her phone. She was then telling me that on the other end, somebody, not her, had cut a border off of the rug, because somebody that had it before, they had moved it from one space to another and it was too big. And instead of getting a new rug, they said, "Why don't we just cut this one?" Because it's just, why go get something new when you can repurpose what you have? And when you have something that's really nice, it's like cool to repurpose it. So
it's funny because like with something like that, the dealer in me cringes.
Yeah, me too.
That,
me too.
there's like a tent. Oh, you cut it, but it's almost like a car you've paid off. Like you just drive it into the ground. Yeah. And like a rug that's been in your family forever.
Yeah,
make it fit a different space, resize it. And then, maybe the scraps become like part of like some home project or what, seat cushions or something,
Well, this is like
something like that.
This is like a minor obsession of mine, which is like specifically, and like I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but like colloquially we call them like it's like Yankee ingenuity, like a New England Yankee. It's an old New England mindset. I'm like mildly obsessed with this concept. You know what I mean?
And to me, that's really cool. I really like that. Now, it doesn't mean that every rug that you buy has to go on the floor. Like I said, I put rugs on the wall. I appreciate them as works of art, and they can be switched out and changed when I'm satisfied looking at one. I want to look at another one for a little while. And I think in that sense, they are an investment. And I know that sounds corny, like an investment to your lifestyle sounds like really scummy. But I think that's the only way I can think of it making sense to me, is like, what value do I get out of them? And the answer is, well, I enjoy them. I really love these things, and they're really cool to have in my house, and I enjoy looking at them and thinking about all the work that went, all the things that we think about when we think of art. And this brings me, I guess, in conclusion, I'm going to end with Stephen Price's last line in his article on this. And he says, "What's the bottom line? For me, it's pretty simple. Buy pieces that reach out to you as works of art that you want to live amid. They will bring you pleasure in the same way that any other work of art reaches you will. Perhaps they will increase in value, a lot, perhaps a little, perhaps not at all. That isn't important because you're unlikely to part with them at any price if they really affect you that way. If they don't grab you, don't grab them.